You know that feeling when you check into a hotel and everything is just perfect? It feels like magic. But behind the scenes, it's not magic at all. It's a blueprint, an organizational structure that makes everything run smoothly. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on those blueprints, from a tiny B&B all the way up to a global hotel empire. I mean, think about it. You get to your room, it's spotless. You go to the restaurant, the service is great. But who's pulling all the strings? How does that seamless experience actually come together? Well, it all comes down to that invisible framework, the organizational structure that tells everyone what to do and how to do it. So yeah, let's start with that blueprint. This isn't just some boring chart tucked away in an office. It's the very logic of the hotel, defining everyone's job and making sure all those moving parts work together perfectly. Okay, let's start our journey on the smaller side of things with a cool boutique hotel. At this scale, the structure is all about being nimble, efficient, and making sure everyone can talk to each other directly. This is the classic setup you'll find in most small to medium-sized hotels, and for good reason. You basically group people by their specialty. You've got your front office team, your housekeeping team, your food and beverage team. It creates departments of experts, and each department head reports up to one person, the general manager. It's simple, clean, and it just works. But here's the interesting part, the trade-off. On the one hand, you get incredible expertise. The housekeeping staff are pros at what they do. On the other hand, you can accidentally create these little silos. And when the front desk isn't talking to housekeeping, that's when things fall through the cracks and the whole operation slows down. Now, let's shrink things down even more to, say, a cozy little bed and breakfast. What you'll probably find there is a flat structure. There are hardly any layers of management. Pretty much everyone reports directly to the owner, who's likely the person checking you in and making your breakfast. They're involved in everything, every single day. The real power of a flat structure is its speed. A decision can be made in an instant. And the staff, they feel super connected to the business. But there's a catch. With no real career ladder, it's tough to keep talented people who want to grow. And that owner-manager, they're always at risk of burning out from trying to do it all. So what happens when that successful boutique hotel starts to grow? What if it becomes a huge luxury resort or even a massive hotel chain? Well, those simple, lean structures just aren't going to cut it anymore. It's time to evolve. Now, this is probably what you picture when you think of a big, fancy hotel. It's the classic pyramid. You've got the general manager at the very top, and authority flows right down through department heads to supervisors and finally to the staff on the floor. Everybody knows exactly who they report to, no question. The great thing about this pyramid is control. It's super disciplined and everyone knows their role. But that rigidity is also its biggest flaw. If a guest has a problem that's a little unusual, the solution has to crawl its way up multiple layers of management for approval. It can make the hotel feel incredibly slow to respond. So how in the world does a giant like Marriott or Hilton manage thousands of properties? They can't just have one giant pyramid. Instead, they use a divisional structure. They break the company up into mini companies, right? Maybe by region like North America, or maybe by brand. Each of those divisions acts like its own business, with its own leaders, all reporting back to a central head office. This is a smart way to give a huge chain the flexibility it needs. A hotel in downtown Tokyo operates very differently from a resort in the Caribbean, right? But this flexibility comes at a price. You end up with a lot of duplicated roles. Each division has its own marketing team, its own finance people, and that really drives up the cost of doing business. Okay, now for the most complex organizations, the truly international hotel groups, we get something called the matrix structure. This is where things get really interesting. An employee here might actually have two bosses. They report to their department head, say the VP of marketing, but also to a project manager, like the person in charge of launching a new hotel brand in. And this really shows the big challenge of working in a modern company. The matrix is fantastic for pulling together the best talent from all over the world and making them work as a team. The downside? It can get really confusing for the people on the ground. Who has the final say? What do you do when your two bosses tell you to do two different things? All right, so we've looked at the different shapes a hotel's organization can take. But there's another really critical question. Who holds the power? Who actually gets to make the big decisions? This is really a philosophical choice. In a centralized structure, all the big decisions are made at the head office. This is great for consistency. It's why one brand of hotel feels the same no matter where you are in the world. The other option is decentralization. This is where you empower the local managers at each property to make their own calls, letting them react way faster to what their specific guests need. And you can really see the difference here. The centralized model on the left is pure top-down. Power flows from the head office all the way to the staff. But look at the decentralized model on the right. That power is spread out, giving the managers and teams at the local hotel a lot more freedom to act.
Okay, so after looking at all these different models, how does a hotel owner actually choose the right blueprint for their business? Let's tie it all together.
So really, the big takeaway is this. Structure follows strategy. As you can see from this table, the right blueprint always depends on the hotel's size and its complexity. A flat structure that works perfectly for a small team would just create chaos at a global hotel chain. And the rigid pyramid of a luxury hotel would totally crush the creative spirit of a little B&B. It's all about finding that perfect fit.
And that leaves us with one last, pretty fascinating question to think about. As technology like AI starts to automate more and more tasks, and as remote work changes how teams even collaborate, what happens to these blueprints? How will they need to be redrawn for the future? The hotel of tomorrow might just be run by a structure that we haven't even thought of yet.